Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 106. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtruff from beautiful Savage, Minnesota, joined by Mark the Canadian.
Well, I mean, you're
Carabin, right. Kind of, yeah, from beautiful Eastern Canada. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm good. I love that you didn't narrow it down any further than Eastern Canada, but it's great. It's rainy and getting warmer here in Atlantis. It did snow over the weekend, and then that's all gone now again. So I hate that for anyone that's like skiers and people that have like snowmobiles and stuff. I'm just like, bring on the summer beach time. Let's go. I used to ski, but now that I don't really, warm weather, no shoveling, thumbs up. So I'm good. I'm excited to talk video games. I've been playing some new stuff, and I've got some more stuff that I need to get into this week. So it's good, man. It's now that I'm like feeling better, although I did just mention before we started recording that my cough's starting to come back, but I'm still like amped up and ready to go.
The life of a parent with young children, that's how it works. You're never, ever 100% healthy. Just enjoy it for the next 10 years, Mark. You'll love it.
Always sick, always tired. No free time.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that one. I have a 17-year-old, so he's essentially like bulletproof now after all those years of being sick. So ridiculous. But we are joined. If you're watching video, you already see someone looking at us right now through the video feed we've got going on right now. And that is Miss Lucy James. And I'm just going to make sure I'm getting this right. Senior video producer at Gamespot and Giant Bomb.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I've got a twofer, I guess, 2 roles in one.
Tell us how that actually works, because the history of GameSpot is interesting because it's one of the heritage producers. They were, I think, owned by CBS at one time, various owners. And so Giant Bomb used to be independent. It was one of the first spinoffs of GameSpot, their podcast with Jeff Gerstmann. So now it's owned by, is it Fandom?
Yes. So we're owned by Fandom now. We were a brief pit stop with Red Ventures. An even briefer pit stop, I think, when Viacom CBS merged. So it's been quite a busy few years, I think, for the brand, finding new homes everywhere. But now we're at Fandom. And so, yeah, when Giant Bomb started all those years ago, a few years after that, they came back. They were bought by CBS Interactive. And so we're kind of brand mates. But, you know, I'd see the guys, but we wouldn't necessarily work together a lot. And then in the past few years, we've started to collaborate a lot more. And we have the kind of different team. And so I'm a part of that along with Timur Hussein from GameSpot. And yeah, how it works is, at least for me, because my main job, I guess, at GameSpot is I head up the features team and the original programming team. As well as doing everything else that I do. So it's more like very careful logistical planning. And that's how we get everything done.
Wow. Everybody needs a spreadsheet. They need whatever you use for keeping everybody on the same page. There you go.
Calendar. Yeah, it's basically, I'm one of my proudest achievements is I got Giant Bomb to start using a project management system. And so feels good.
It's almost like that should be the next one, like project management simulator, kind of like PC simulator. No. There just needs to be there because, you know, how much fun is that?
I'm amazed someone hasn't actually done that yet. Maybe I'll be the one to do it. I don't know.
Oh, I think so. You're well versed in it now, so you can claim that. Trademark it now. It's official. Yep. Lucy owns us, so it's all hers. So Lucy, just, you know, we always ask people to give us kind of their elevator pitch of how they became the person they are now in your career. So, you know, tell us your biography in like 3 minutes.
Oh God. Okay. So I guess my elevator pitch. Always played games when I was growing up. I owe a lot to my dad for that. He was the one who encouraged me to play games, and we play a lot of games together. Then I went to university. Obviously, some years in between, but I did go to university for psychology and ended up kind of hating it, just because I was interested in the subject matter. But the long story short is, to be an accredited Bachelor of Science in the UK, you have to have a very prescribed syllabus, like course that you take. And for me, it was all the stuff that I wasn't interested in. I wasn't interested in neuroscience. I wasn't interested in a bunch of stuff. And so statistics certainly was not interested in that.
Oh, God. My son is just taking statistics right now in high school.
Yeah. Godspeed to him, because it was miserable when I was doing it. And so then I played more and more games. My friends at the time played a lot of games. And as a kind of weirdly, one of the video game outlets, Game On, which I think was ITN at the time, was played. A blooper of theirs was played in one of my language lectures, because it was a blooper and it was someone who just couldn't. It was Nathaniel, and he just couldn't say this specific phrase. And so, as a joke, I just kind of like tweeted at Johnny and when they were there, and I asked for an internship, kind of cheekily, and they said no. But then Johnny left Chiodini, and they went to GameSpot, and they messaged me and they said, "Hey, I'm at this new place now. They do internships. Do you have a CV or a resume?" And I ended up getting an internship there. So I was there for a month, 11 years ago. Oh, God. And then from there, I kind of realized that that's what I wanted to do. So I started to write for more websites and blogs. And then I left university and I did a bunch of video stuff. I'd done some video stuff at GameSpot, and I just kind of moved more into that. So like more into hosting, more into script writing. And I worked for a TV company for a couple of years called Jinx. And that's where I sort of really had a producer who was telling me what to do and like when I was doing things wrong, which was really, really helpful. And of course, when I was doing things right. And then GameSpot one day kind of said, "Hey, do you want to come back?" And that was 2014. And then in 2017, they asked me if I wanted to move to America. So I said, yep. And then a year later, I moved to San Francisco. That's where I've been ever since. And then,
what was the biggest cultural shock for you moving to the US?
It's not a big shock. It's a sustained shock. Is that despite speaking the same language, there are still some things that, even after 4.5 years here, that are still very different. For example, like if in the UK you said something's quite good, you actually mean, it's not great, is it? But in the UK, in America, they're like, quite good. Oh yeah, that's great. So it's just like slight differences in things like that. But other than that, I mean, I was quite lucky is that I've obviously been to America a lot for work. And I already had a friend group when I moved here. And so when I did come over, I was used to a lot of things already. I'm still never going to get used to the fact that I have to pay VAT like separately. You have to work out tax at the counter.
That's right. Depending where you live in the United States,
California,
not everybody has sales tax. Texas, no sales tax. So it's very bizarre. Yeah.
Very strange. That's probably the biggest one. Also, taxes in general, they go over my head. I do.
Yeah, and nobody gets it, and it's really, why is this? Why is this? It's like an industry just to do something where it's like, you're supposed to charge me the right amount. It's like that's ultimate failure. You're supposed to charge me the right amount.
You know how much I owe.
Exactly.
Why didn't you just take it out of my paycheck like everywhere else does? But no.
Exactly. Yep. I do have a very serious question, though. So being in, a journalistic field, how did you deal with the reality of having to drop U's from color and favorite? That had to like drive you nuts, right?
So luckily, all of my stuff pretty much, I don't really write as much for the site. There are a few things under my byline. What did I do recently? I did write something recently. And, I think I've only actually ever done one official review for GameSpot. And I did a couple when I was freelance, but there's only one really tied to my name currently on the site, which is Persona 5. So for me, it's okay because all the stuff I send through is usually scripts and people are just like, oh, okay, she's British. It doesn't matter. She's not going to pronounce the U. But if ever I'm writing, like a YouTube title or a YouTube description, that's when it gets me. And every single time, someone will catch it and they go, And so I don't know. Even when I text, my American friends, I refuse to localize. But it's actually quite funny. They do localize for me sometimes. We are still trying to get into, what's the difference between Fahrenheit and centigrade and Celsius, and so we still have that.
Mark hasn't taught me, and it's so funny because we're so close to Canada, and we still can't figure out metric. who cares? We just don't get it.
And I throw U's into letters as well. Like that's a Canadian, like we haven't separated that much. And I get made fun of that in Discord all the time of like, the U doesn't belong in that. And I'm like, hey, autocorrecting, catch it. I'm Canadian, leave me alone. Yep. I just, deal with it.
Well, Lucy, thank you very much. This is very exciting. We'll talk about at the end. We'll hear about what you're working on and where people can find you. But the really important part is, we've and this is new to a lot of folks that are listening to Co-op Mode right now, is we launched a Patreon on Friday, and after doing our Secret Friends Unite, we do like 4 podcasts. We've been doing this for 8 years. We're finally doing a Patreon. Apparently, we finally figured it out. Woo! But because of that, we've actually got a couple members now, which is great. We're just doing this for fun. And one of the groups that joined us at the highest tier, which is great, is a good friend of mine and his family. And we want to thank them. So anybody who's interested in learning more about our Patreon, everything that we do now that we've been doing is still going to be free. You get that. It's just the bonus stuff, the extras, and just to show your support. That's all it is. But one of the cool bonuses we get is we have the power, Lucy, as a Patreon, and we will use this power of this episode to give our Patreons a video game power up.
Oh, amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are 3 people. Sean Nias is the dad. Stella is the daughter. She's 12. And Henry is the son. He's 10. And I will just show it's a visual prop. They got a 3D printer for Christmas, and they made a 3D Kratos. If you can see it really close. Uh-huh. Yeah, and it actually comes apart. And it's kind of cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah. So they're good friends of mine. Just hung out with them the other day, but great people and very fun and very, very much geeks in their own minds. And so with that, Lucy, since you're the guest, who would you like to give their video game power up to?
Stella.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Wait, which one? I have to pick a power-up? Or
You'll pick a power-up for Stella. So this is the power-up she'll always have.
Oh my god. Okay. That's really hard. Hang on, I'm doing it on the spot.
Can be useful, can be bad. It can be great, can be regretful.
No, I want to give her a good one. Like, what does a teen girl, like 12, give me a teenager, gonna be...
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? I don't know.
I can give you a little bit of background. She does play volleyball, and she loves Star Wars. So those are some extra pieces.
Oh, if she loves Star Wars, some kind of shield so that she never has to get into Star Wars discourse online.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The bubble of
just that's what I would give teenagers in general. No discourse shield. Like, you don't have to see any of the bad stuff on the internet, like any of that stuff. That's what I would give. I would like
excellent.
That.
It's like the recharge, right? When you take so much damage and then you go away for a little bit, drop your phone, don't pay attention online. Yep. It recharges and you're fully ready to go again.
You're
Bubble shield.
I can hear that as it powers up.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, Mark, you're next. Yep. Who are you picking?
Oh man. I'm gonna go with Henry. I'm gonna give Henry a power up. Okay, hold on. Does being able to catch wild animals in balls, like he lives in the Pokemon world, is that like a power up? Because I would love to just see Henry with a collection of like squirrels and raccoons and shit. Like
how about unlimited storage of Pokeballs? Is that a good one?
All right. But it's real life animals. So he just he has to just go around just hucking balls at cats and stuff. Like I want.
They own 3 dogs. They own 3 dogs. So
perfect.
That makes sense.
Take them in balls and carry them around. I think that's his power up, is the ability to catch real life Pokemon and train his army of awesome animals.
Oh, I love it. Well, Sean is a car nut. And so I'm going to give him his power up is unlimited turbo boost.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about like you run out. It's just like that's all that happens. Now, that will probably destroy your engine after time. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that's how the Fast and Furious got to outer space. But that's his. I think it's appropriate. And just fun fact, we did this with Secret Friends. We gave them their superpower. And some of the superpowers were pretty pretty funny too. But it was Stella's was very much like this. She got no consequences. So essentially, she could commit a crime, not get charged, but everybody would know she did it.
She needs to be in the car with her dad when he's going Mach 7 down a highway.
Yeah.
Shield him. Yeah.
Shield him from any blame. That's wild. That would be really cool. I don't know. Actually, would it be cool? Because if everyone would still know, that's still a consequence, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you get a lot of people that just don't like you, but then can you But if there's no consequence, I don't know.
Does everyone have to know? Like when you do
that was like the monkey's paw.
Or can you be okay? So as soon as you do something, it's just like broadcast. So you can't be sneaky with it. Like if she was like really sneaky and she was just like, haha, like I did this and.
No, it's like George. It's like George Santos. If you're watching politics right now, the guy essentially, he lives a lie and everybody knows it, but apparently there's no consequences. So there you go.
God.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. So that is our Patreon corner. So thank you, Patreons, and obviously, if those listening want to get their own video game power up, this is how you get it done. And that leads us into. And we're doing like skits. It's kind of funny.
I love it.
So we do a buy, rent, return. So like Blockbuster Video in the US was a big thing. Hollywood Video. Yeah. In the UK, I'm not sure what your video rental places were.
We have Blockbuster.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Very good. I rented my Genesis from a video store. I never owned one. I just rented it, which was like the worst thing. It's like paying way too much for like a weekend, but that's how I did it. So in the theme of buy, rent, return, we have 3 power-ups that you will buy one, you will rent one, and you will return one. And those are Super Mario, his Fire Flower, Castlevania, the Boomerang, Pac-Man, the Power Pellet. So, Lucy, I can start you off, or I can give you a second to think about it. And then you can Mark go.
I think I would return the Power Pellet.
Oh, really? That's bold.
What am I going to do? Just like eat everything?
Okay, well, and that's something I wanted to clarify as well. The power pellet just lets you eat ghosts, doesn't it?
It's basically your defense. It's the only defense mechanism you have in the game, except unless you have to be really good at just navigating the maze. It's the only ability you have to avoid death.
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this sentence, but canonically in Pac-Man.
Yes.
Why? Isn't it for ghosts? Like, isn't it just like, hey, there's a ghost over there. I'm going to have this power pellet and then just like smack him away. And he doesn't even like go away really. He becomes eyeballs and runs
away. They go to ghost jail or whatever that is. And then they come back, but it essentially gets them out of your way. And you avoid them. So yeah, I mean, that's really the main mechanic of the game.
Okay.
So I'm going to return that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still going to return that one. And then I think, Fire Flower, I would rent, but then I wouldn't want to keep it because then maybe I would cause a little bit too much carnage accidentally. So then I would keep the Castlevania Boomerang.
All right.
Because then you could take it to the beach or whatever,
Exactly.
No fear of setting things alight.
No. I mean, you could cook something potentially, right?
Oh, that's
maybe a hamburger or burn it.
I would never be at a loss for matches again.
All right, Mark, your choices.
Oh, I'm leaning full into the chaos and the destruction. I'm going Fire Flower all the way. Sign me up. Let's go. I would have just a whole garden full of those delightful little pyromaniac plants, and we're going full tilt. Renting Castlevania Boomerang because boomerangs are fun. I had a Nerf boomerang when I was a kid, and boy, did I throw that and expected it to return every single time. But like there was kind of a knack to it to like try to get it to kind of come back to you. But then you have a boomerang flying at your face, and it's tough. Luckily, it was Nerf, so you could kind of catch it, or if you did like catch it in the face, you could just kind of recover pretty quick. But Castlevania Boomerang's kind of cool. And then I'm returning the Power Pellet because I assumed it was just for ghosts. Now, if the Pac-Man Power Pellet if you can have like a bunch of those, like in a Pez dispenser, and the power up, like again, because I really thought this was just for like eating or making ghosts disappear. So if it acts more like a superstar from like
It's
Super Mario
invulnerability,
Bros.
essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, see, that changes things.
But then not like, in what was that TV show where he couldn't touch someone because then if you touched a dead body, they'd come back to life, but you couldn't touch them again.
Oh,
What?
Pushing Daisies?
Pushing Daisies? So are you in the similar boat if you've got a power pellet where you can't touch anyone else because then they'll go to ghost jail? But then they will come back, I guess.
Right, and if you touch a living person, do they become a ghost, or is it just meant for ghosts?
No,
I need a Pac-Man.
So this is not you having this is not having you having that power ability. Like, I'm going to eat a power pellet and I'm going to eat
that's
people.
how I was taking this.
Oh, okay.
100% was like, I want these powers.
No, this was just in the game format. I mean, this gets to be a philosophical issue in real life. It's like, because I just burned somebody with my fire flower by accident. I held my wife and I got excited and boom.
No, I would keep fire flower for sure. Sorry, Castlevania Boomerang. But no, power pellet's still good.
I'm sticking with my answers. I don't.
Okay.
I think,
okay. It can work both ways, really. I mean, there's no rules to this game. I mean, there's no wrong answer. Exactly.
I want to keep this in the real world. Like, for me.
Well,
that's what I want.
Might make me rethink my answer there. Because I mean, eating something that allows me to eat others, like big people or animals or something like that easily. I don't know. That's a weird concept.
Right. Wouldn't it be cool, like in real life, if like the power pellet was just invulnerability, just be like, hey, David Blaine, top this, and just jump off the Empire State Building.
Exactly.
Like, flashing and glowing.
You just have to time it right.
Land and just be like, haha, I'm okay. For my next trick, retirement. Like, that'd just be great.
Thank goodness you got that catchy tune, though, while it's happening, kind of like the star, so you know exactly when it's going to end out. Because if you don't realize when it will end, and to your point, Mark, you jump off a building and it ends...
No, you pop them like Pez. It's okay. It's just
there's only 4 per level, man. It's a limited resource.
What's a level in real world? No, okay. What are your picks?
Well, now you've both confused me. I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's my game. You changed it. Okay, I'll go with the original context. So with this, I was going to say Pac-Man Power Pellet. I'm buying because essentially without that, the game really doesn't have any structure then, because essentially it's just a runaway game. And there's no real defense offense. It's just all defense. This gives you a little bit of offense. So I think that really what makes that power pellet really, without that, the game doesn't really exist, doesn't work. So that's why I went that route. The Castlevania Boomerang I'm renting because it's like the ultimate weapon you don't want an enemy to have, because you always have to worry when it's going to come back, right? You jump over it, and it's always going to hit you in the back of the head or kill you at the last minute. But I think it's great because it's that 2-hit weapon in Castlevania, or that there are no others that are like a 2-hit. And I think if you catch it on the way back, you don't lose it. Like, you don't lose your hearts associated with it. So it's kind of a cool mechanic that came with the time. And then I'm returning the Super Mario Fire Flower only because, as we know in Mario, and you can see my background, there's so many other cool power-ups that potentially are even better than Fire Flower. So you don't want to be held to just one. So that's why I'm returning it, because I can always get it again, but I want like the bee suit or the cloud or something else.
Okay.
If you say the cloud is better than the Fire Flower,
I didn't say that. I just think it's fun, Mark. Don't judge me.
We're gonna fight.
Go.
I feel like I'm attacked. My goodness. Well, we had a couple of folks from the Discord group that gave theirs. So Sean, he said buy the Pac-Man Power Pellet, didn't give any rationality for it. Rent Super Mario Fire Flower, and returned the Castlevania Boomerang.
I need clarification, Sean. I know you're going to listen to this, so I need clarification if that was in game or, as Lucy and I went, in real life. Because
IRL, yeah,
I need to know these answers.
We'll find out. And then Brendan Myers, the winner gamer, he says buy Fire Flower, Fireball because fire, duh. Makes sense. Rent Boomerang because it feels like it is much more for a party trick. Okay, yeah, it's like you can entertain people. Yeah,
right. So he's going real life as well.
I guess. And then he says Powerpuff because it's only temporary.
Yeah. So he's definitely going real life, like IRL, like, hey, watch what I can do. You want those chips? Boomerang. That's cool.
Oh, are you thinking like the boomerang that can actually retrieve things too?
He's grabbing things back, I think.
Oh, that's great.
Like, cool party trick.
Yeah, I can see that Mark with his child. Come over here, like the scorpion, but with a boomerang.
Exactly. And you combine that with the fire flower. It's like,
oh yeah,
you want like barbecued something or other, and you toss the boomerang, hit the fire flower. Great combination. It's good.
Perfect. I'd never lose a remote again.
If I could just
exactly.
That'd be so good.
Boomerang.
That'd be very good. Oh my goodness. Well, that was a lot of fun. Can't wait to see what I pick next week. Mark, you're always welcome to come up with your own if you want, then I can mock you for your choices. But, at this point, we'll talk about that more on the next episode. But we're getting into what we've been playing. This is actually a video game podcast, folks. And I think we've only talked about like the periphery at this point. So we'll actually talk about the games we've been playing. So Lucy, do you review a lot of games these days? It sounds like you don't.
No, I don't. And I'm honestly very glad for that. I mean, I talk about them a lot on podcasts. So Gamespot After Dark, Bombcast, and Friends Per Second. But like, I don't sit down, play something back to front, and write a review and do all that. The last time I did that was Persona 5. And the reason, the reason being is because I'm a huge Persona fan. And we were very, very lucky with code there because the game had been out in Japan for about 6 months or something. And so Atlas in the West got it to us like a month ahead of time. And that's a 100-hour JRPG. And so I said, okay, I have the bandwidth to take that one. I would like to do that. And then, the game was great. People liked my review. And I didn't get much heat from it. So it's not like I'm afraid of doing it. It's just, I don't have enough hours in the day to do it because a lot goes into doing a review for a game. But also I just kind of like the part where I just talk about games and just, chat about it with people who have been reviewing because, Jordan Ramey at work reviews a lot. So does Tam, Ralph Skillup and Jake Baldino and The Completionist. They also all review stuff. And I'm just like, I'm just going to talk about games. You guys can get into the nitty gritty. It's fine. I always take notes and stuff when I'm playing. But I don't do like proper reviews. I don't give scores.
It makes it a lot easier when you give scores. Scores are so nebulous. We tried to do scores. Like I tried to get my like Excel spreadsheet and what did I give it? And I'm like, and I had to create actually a review guide. We used to do the chicken nuggets guide where Mark said we should talk about like a
6-piece chicken nuggets. How many chicken nuggets would I give this game? And Todd's having like his Excel spreadsheets, and I'm just like, my gut's telling me 4 out of 6 chicken nuggets. That was it.
Oh, I think we were thinking even like we were going to do sauces. Like this is a hot mustard. This is a barbecue, but it's like nobody can agree on what sauces they like though.
I tried like a habanero sauce last time I had chicken nuggets. It was okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing says spicy like McDonald's spicy.
It was weird. It was different.
Well, with that, Lucy, what have you been playing?
So I've been playing a couple things. I actually, annoyingly, was meant to go to LA for the Persona 3 and 4 launch party, and then I got really sick. So, the cold's going around, and just because I wasn't sure if it was COVID, but also I don't want to go to an event and give people a cold. So I stayed home, and I ended up playing The Case of the Golden Idol on my Steam Deck, which is a point-and-click adventure game. If you've played Curse of the Obra Dinn, it's quite similar.
Oh, yeah.
So basically what you are presented with is you're presented with a scene, and you go through and you click on various things in the scene, and you try it, and there'll be a letter, and you'll have in the letter there's all the words, and you can click on some of the words, and it goes down to the bottom of the screen. And then what you do is that's when you're investigating. And then when you're thinking, there's 2 kinds of phases. You basically, you'll get presented with a paragraph of what happened, but the key words and phrases will be blanked out. And then the words that you've taken from the environment themselves, you slot in, and then you solve the case. And it's an overarching story about a mysterious golden idol that a cult really wants and is involved in, and there's a trail of murder that follows in its wake. And so it's really, really good. It starts off quite straightforward, and then it gets really complicated because, you know, there's one level where you're at a dinner party and one person got murdered, but everyone has a motive, and you basically solve a murder case. And so it's great. I'm really enjoying it. It works well on Steam Deck. A lot of it can be touchscreen. I think it just needs a couple more tweaks to make it a little bit better on Steam Deck. But as you know, someone who was sick in bed, I really enjoyed it. It was great.
Nice.
I was looking at the art style. It looks like one of those old school like King's Quest, but it has a little bit of a different tweak to the art style.
Yes, and it's quite grim, but I mean that as a compliment. You know, kind of a little grotesque. Some of the later levels can be like ugly, but I mean that as a compliment, just like very grim to look at.
Nice.
But no, it's a lot of fun.
Is that only on PC currently?
I believe it's only on PC right now. I hope it's coming to something else. I think it would genuinely work really well as a mobile game, or on an iPad, or even Switch. And I think as well, it could probably come to console. You know, if the thing is like Disco Elysium made the jump, so I just think anything can make the jump because they managed to make that one work. So no, I think it would be great.
Nice. Damn the text size, right?
Yeah. even zoomed in. I loved it. I love Disco Elysium, but yeah, even when at its max, that text size was quite small.
Very, very cool. And it looks like you've been playing another game, which is apparently, if you've gone on Twitter today, the conversation. I'm getting this game from GameFly. It's coming the next couple of days. I played the demo, so I kind of have some opinions already. So for someone like me who's played the demo, does the game, and this is Forspoken, I've spoiled it for Lucy, but does the demo, is it improved from the demo, or is the demo exactly what the game is meant to be?
So I didn't play the demo, so I'm not sure do you know which part of the game it was?
It starts pretty much where you've got your abilities. It doesn't give you any of like how you got there. You've got essentially a couple of different abilities. So maybe it's not that too far. Like it cuts out like maybe the intro and things like that. But you've got a couple abilities, and that's kind of where I'm at.
You get some abilities pretty early on. Actually, you get a bunch very early on at the very beginning. Yeah, I'm in two minds about it. I think some of it is very inoffensive, and I could just switch my brain off and enjoy it. Like but I think some of the stuff is very clunky. There's been a lot of discourse about the dialogue in the game today. It's been quite, just a very intense day on Twitter for that kind of stuff. Some of it I think is genuinely just straight up bad. Not even in the clips that have been shared around today. I think some of it is bad, and I think part of it is down to the unnatural way some of the characters are written. And then I think there are also issues with the direction and the voice acting, because sometimes people are really, really good, but there are some where you can just tell this person was in a session by themselves and they had no context for what they were saying or who they were saying it to. But then on the flip side of that, I genuinely think Cuff is great. I think really well acted, really well written. He has a real vision thing going on. Like and I think it works really well. I think the dynamic between Cuff and Frey, Frey is the character who's from New York and who's transported to this mystical land called Athia in a very Alice in Wonderland type thing that's so on the nose that before she does it, she picks up a copy of Alice in Wonderland in her apartment and comments on. And then when she gets transported by this land by putting on this magical golden cuff who talks to her. And
who's the voice? I was trying to figure out who the voice is of the cuff.
No one that I knew. I did look him up. And I think he's just been in a lot of different things, but I didn't specifically know him from anywhere in particular. But I think he's great. And I thought
it was Paul Bettany for some reason. I thought it was like, oh, that sounds like Paul Bettany.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing. Like, it is such a Vision sort of dynamic too, where Vision's very cut and dry. Makes a little jokes here and there, and that's not quite good enough, is it? And so the dynamic that Cuff and Frey have is a little frustrating at the beginning because Frey is so hesitant to just take on her role. She's like, oh, a hero? I'm no hero. And it's not written in a very interesting way. But later on, I actually don't think it's that bad. I think combat-wise, yeah, it's fine. It's serviceable. It's not setting the world on fire. Same as the open world stuff. It's a weird game. It's a weird game. But am I enjoying it? I'm still playing it.
That's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
Because you don't actually have to, right? Beyond, you can put it away if you wanted to.
I could. I know. I'm going to be talking about it. I'm doing the quick look for Giant Bomb tomorrow with Timur. Okay. And then going to be talking about it. Because I'm the only person on Friends Per Second who actually got a code. So the boys are like probably going to grill me about it when we record on Wednesday. So I definitely want to put a few more hours in because I'm about 4 in so far because I've been playing something else that I can't talk about until later in the week, which is, great.
Redacted, and you didn't have to say it.
I love it when I can't talk about stuff. But no, so I've kind of been balancing and going between a few games. And so I will be putting more hours into it. I think there's something there. There's all like, I don't know if you know Kyle Bosman. He used to work what used to be Game Trailers, and then Easy Allies. He made an episode of the final Bosman that's always really stuck with me, and that is even a 0 out of 10 game has value. I'm in no way saying that Forspoken is a 0 out of 10. I don't put scores on things, but it has value in there. It's just a strange package. But no, I think a lot of people liked it, and I'm glad. It's fun to see this kind of divisive game because I think for a long time we've been told that game developers are so hesitant on, like, obviously no one wants to make a bad game, but people are so risk averse that a lot of stuff just feels very, very safe. And so I kind of like it when there is a game that comes out and people are kind of going back and forth on it. People don't really have their minds made up about it.
Yeah. It's definitely an odd game. I played the demo, so I came away a little bit like maybe it'll be better. So I'm excited. I'm going to actually get to play more of the games, and I'll make up my mind and go from there. I think the biggest part of it is this is a Sony essentially exclusive made by Square Enix. Luminous is the studio behind this, and they've really only made one game before this, which was they worked on Final Fantasy 15. And
I feel that DNA.
It does kind of feel that way. Yeah, it kind of feels like 15 in that way where it's a little stilted, kind of hip, I guess is the best way. But the movement seems cool. Like when you can really dash. Yes. That was kind of cool.
I really like that. But it also kind of highlights how awkward it is when you are not doing that. Because you get to a city pretty early on in the game and you can't show your powers in this city because the people who live there might be, well, they don't know who you are, where you came from, and why you have powers. So you have to walk around, and it's very awkward because Frey's movement, there's some kind of acceleration on it. And when she's in a small environment, and there are certain, there are times where I've just done a mission where I was in an archive, and I have to walk around awkwardly to pick up a bunch of information because instead of having a character tell me the story or a cutscene, they make you pick up a book, and then Frey does an animation of reading it, and then you read it yourself in the game menu. Not great. But when you're moving around and doing that, it's like very awkward in these enclosed spaces. But then when you get outside into the open world and you just hold down circle and you just scoot off, basically, that's really fun. And I really like the way that the momentum builds, and when you are just in the middle of a battle and you are just holding circle and just running rings around enemies, I like that a lot. It's a weird one. It's such a weird game.
It used to be kind of fun to have. It used to be fun to have games like that. That were like not AAA, and they came out. But I think the expectation now is games just can't be that way anymore and charge so many bucks. Because if they are that way, then wow, I felt like I got cheated because it wasn't the next great masterpiece, which is a shame. Because I was going
to say, especially coming from Sony, who seems like most of their exclusive games are these big emotional bangers kind of, triple A of triple A, like examples of how to do games, especially narrative driven games and fantasy games and that kind of stuff. It's like when something comes out on a Sony platform as an exclusive, it's kind of expected to hit that pedigree where I haven't played the demo. I'm just kind of know what I've seen so far about this game, but it looks like something that I think people would play it on Game Pass and be like, yeah, it's a Game Pass ass game. Like that's kind of like, I'm glad I have Game Pass. I gave this a try. I'm glad that I paid for the Game Pass subscription and nothing more kind of thing. Like it sounds like a cool game that in a few months it might be on PlayStation Plus or Now or whatever, one of those services or something, like, and people will be like, yeah, I'm glad I tried that out for a few hours. But does it live up to that Sony pedigree? Whereas, if it was kind of flipped, I wonder if people would be talking a little bit more positively if this was on Xbox, maybe.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I think it has its fans, and from the early reviews, I think it'll certainly find an audience. It's just not, and I mean, my excitement for Square properties, Final Fantasy 16 is my most anticipated game this year. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, maybe this is because a lot more energy and focus has gone on to 16. But it's an interesting one. I never begrudge a developer or a publisher for trying something new, and it is, as we said, difficult to launch a new IP, especially with people being so risk averse these days. So it's an intriguing one. It's a weird one. Does it deserve this much discourse? Nothing does. But
it's January, right? It's slow.
Yeah, everyone's bored.
Yeah. They're just waiting for Dead Space to come out. I mean, and that's a lot of it. What it is just like there's probably better games to come, and people are just like waiting for those.
Yeah, that's all I've been really playing. Other than Vampire Survivors, which is just taken up everyone's life.
That was our game of the year.
Yeah, it was very close to being ours as well. Elden Ring came up.
It was the rare game Mark and I actually played. We both played.
Yeah, we both played it.
Yeah. So Mark, you played some games?
I did, yeah. So I played some games that I got some codes for. The first one, I want to give a shout out. I saw this developer because I started following a bunch of VR accounts and developers and different things on Twitter as I'm getting more and more into VR and what that offers. And I saw this one come out, Phaser Lock. They have a new game, just came out on Quest. Quest 2 is where I've been playing it. It's called Primal Hunt, and it's kind of like it appealed to me just based on like this kind of cartoony, over the top looking dinosaurs that are very like exaggerated features and stuff, but also kind of gave like a Turok vibe. So it's like, I think I could hunt dinosaurs in VR. Like, I think that could be a thing. And they were looking for like VR influencers. And I was like, I'm sure as hell not a VR influencer, but I have a show that I can talk about this on. Like, do you guys have any more codes or anything? Like, I'd love to give it a shot. And not only did they send me a code to play, but I also have a couple to give away. So I do want to give a giveaway for this one. So anyone listening, I have not figured out how to give that away yet, but I think what I'm going to do is basically just anyone that wants it, I'll give this like until our next episode or something like that, or maybe a week or so. Message me on our Discord channel. So join the Discord if you haven't already, and send me a message there, or like a DM or whatever, and I'm going to give that away to someone that messaged me. I have a couple of codes to give away, so don't be shy to reach out. And
Mark,
with that being said,
I looked at the video and I saw this. There's mech dinosaurs, so that's like you didn't even
mech dinosaurs.
very
bloody and gory. That's one of the things they say. Like, this is an adult. It's gross.
I am not giving this away to Sean and the kids if they have a Quest. Not a chance. So that's what I was gonna say. Like, I am surprised by how like gruesome I guess this game is. Like, every time, like. And I guess I should have expected that because it's like a hunting game, right? Like you shoot these animals with a bow and arrow, but they get like covered in blood, and it's not like realistic, but it's still kind of like jarring as someone that like doesn't hunt or like kill stuff normally, aside from like in video games, and that's usually, I don't know, like comical, like digital kind of stuff. This is like they're like legit dead in front of you and like bleeding and stuff, and you got to like cut open their corpse and get organs to harvest and stuff. It's very jarring, and I do like it. You play as this. You're basically suspended in a suspended animation chamber, and your consciousness is transported to a robot. So you have like these cool like shields and like map upgrades, and you can see your whole robot arms and stuff, which I thought was really cool. So there's some really, really neat aspects of this game. I am pretty early on. I've only got this a few days ago, but yeah, it's interesting. It is bringing back some Turok vibes, and I messaged Michael, the CEO and creative director of Phaserlock, and I just said like, it's giving me some big Turok vibes, and I haven't been this excited to hunt dinosaurs since I found the cerebral boar in Turok 2 back on the N64 days. So he kind of chuckled at that one and sent the code. So I think that kind of worked. But it's cool, man. It's different than a lot of what I've been playing in VR lately, which is like rhythm games and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool to like have free roam of big open spaces and learn how to track dinosaurs based on like everything from like footprints to plants they chewed on to like dino poop. Like you're going through the whole thing. And it has a cool.
Are you putting like bait down? Are you putting like, oh, there's dino poop because that'll attract more dinos?
No, you're using that to like where the dinosaur has been. And there's a really cool Metroid-esque like scan of the environment, and you can see different things kind of like lit up or whatever. And there's like some stealth mechanics. There's some grapple mechanics. There's a lot to this game. There's a lot more than I kind of expected. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but yeah, giving some like Horizon, like you're taking on big kind of things slowly. There's different traps, so you can set one out that like freezes or electrocutes or like string traps, like different things like that. So it's neat. I'm going to be putting some more time into it this week, but I wanted to talk about that. And if anyone else wants to like try it with me, again, reach out in Discord. The other ones I've been playing were given to me by Barry Dunn. Runs Impact Game Station on YouTube, so go give him a follow over there. I've been friends with Barry for a long time, and we were chatting. He has a young child as well, so I was asking like how they got along over the holidays and all that kind of stuff, and he said pretty good, and he reached out with these codes. So thanks, Barry. You're amazing, and everyone listening, just go search Impact Game Station on or IGS on YouTube. Help him get up to 10K subscribers. He's at like 9 point something right now. So like, go help him out. Get him to 10. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so these games, Beeny and Super Kiwi 64. I'm going to preface this by saying these games, Beeny is $1 and Super Kiwi 64 is like $3. So go in with the expectation of that's the cost of these games. I was pleasantly surprised by both of these. Beeny is the prequel. You actually lead directly into Super Kiwi 64, which I didn't expect.
Really?
Because one stars this
I did not. I looked at both of them, and they don't look like they're remotely.
Yeah, not linked. Even. Yeah. One is so Beeny. I'll start off with that one. Is like Donkey Kong Country artwork, and it is like nailed. The music's perfect. The artwork's perfect. It is like just flash right back to Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo. It is amazingly well done, copying that art style. The stages are simplistic. You basically roll. You're a very rotund bee. And you roll and jump on different platforms.
But you don't fly.
You do not fly. No, he's just a round roly poly little beanie.
Bumblebee.
And that's it. And when you fall down, like other bees catch you, so it's very kind of friendly, and you can beat it pretty much in one sitting. But when you beat it, you go back to the start and you talk to Kiwi, and you're collecting. Basically, you collect honey. for him, and you collect things for him to build a raft to get to this island, and then it like cuts to an actual stage from Super Kiwi 64, and you go around collecting stuff for a dog, and then you finish that level and it says continue the rest of this story in Super Kiwi 64. And Super Kiwi 64 is, as the name implies, an N64 looking game. So you go from Super Nintendo to N64. Awesome jump, really cool art style, really giving off like collectathon.
Yeah, it looked like Banjo.
Vibes.
I saw it. It looked like Banjo. Definitely big, big
much
jiggies. What are those things called?
Yeah.
Jiggies. Yeah.
Yeah, very much looking like Banjo, and you just basically go around these stages, small self-contained stages, but it's free roam, just like whatever, like a Banjo stage, I guess. For the most part, it's not like a linear kind of thing, and you collect all the gears, or you collect all the gems, or you blow up all the boxes, or defeat all the enemies, and you collect the gems. And again, you're trying to help this dog out, and he says, "Go collect the gems, and I'll get you off this island." It's an N64 style story, but I'm really enjoying these games. Like I had a really good time as just a weird throwback to the games that I grew up with, which was like Super Nintendo and N64. So it's like hitting my nostalgia vibes perfectly. Again, the music is great. The art style, while not like visually impressive by, today's standards, like perfectly captures the art style that it's going for. Super Kiwi 64, there is some like camera stuff of like when you move the camera a certain way, it'll clip through the floor, clip through a wall, or this or that. I don't know if that's intentional. It could be, and it could be like, because that was how it was, right? I did have to like invert one of the axes. I can't remember which one, but the camera felt off for me at first. And I really need to try this with the N64 controller hooked up to my Switch.
We're back to that.
I've been playing mostly handheld, but
that damn controller.
It's so bad it's good. I've been really enjoying these, man. If you have like $4 to spare, like check these out.
Oh, a lot of people have been talking about
nostalgia.
Like Joey Ferris has been talking about Super Kiwi 64. A lot of people have seem like it's get that nostalgia flowing. People are wanting 100%. More of those clunky art styles of the N64 and PlayStation 1, apparently.
Yeah. It is a great throwback and really, really well done. You can tell it was all done with love. So like not a ton, like I said, you could beat Beeny, but when you beat Beeny, it unlocks like a time trial kind of mode and an extra stage. So you can kind of go through that. And I'm sure, I haven't finished Super Kiwi yet. So, but I'm sure, it's kind of a similar vibe that there's more to do. But even so, if you finish it in an hour, it was $3 sitting, then it was $1. Like, right. It's good. Highly recommend for sure.
Very cool. Well, I won't belabor what I was playing very quickly because I think I don't need to tell anybody about The Last of Us. But if you have PlayStation 5 right now, they are offering, if you have PlayStation Plus something, you can get the 2-hour free game trial of The Last of Us Part 1, which is essentially the PS5 version of The Last of Us, which was very handy for somebody who has not played the game and beat it since 2013 on the PS3. Mm-hmm. So my mind is like, it's always looked this way. It hasn't. I know that now. But what's great about this was, as I watched The Last of Us Last of Us TV show on HBO Max, it allowed me to really get back into the game because I don't own it and compare it to the TV show. And now I know why Sony did this because, and we're seeing it with the sales right now, the sales of this game are huge, kind of like when The Witcher came, Witcher 3 sales launched when The Witcher came to Netflix. And I understand why they did this. They wanted people to have the best version of Last of Us when they played this game. They didn't want a 2013 game. They didn't want the 2014 remaster. Totally makes sense. So regardless of how you feel and the cost, totally get it. But it's been great because the first the 2 hours, I was trying like, well, how long is The Last of Us TV show going to be? And essentially the 2-hour duration of the game of the trial is essentially the first 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that means that the pacing of and I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the first season is the full game. So if that's true, 10, 15 hours, which is how apparently I did. How long does it take to beat? that might be a good pacing of how it's going to be. So I really appreciate it. And everybody's talking about The Last of Us, and kudos to them for doing something that's really well done. And the things that they're doing in the TV show are really additive and nice, which I've really appreciated.
Just wait until episode 3.
Oh, so you've seen it. Thanks, Lucy.
I've only seen the first 4, but episode 3 is really something special.
And I don't even think we've gotten to like the real horror yet, because there is some horrific things in 2, but I can only imagine it's going to get far worse.
I hope so. I think it's
good.
They've just done such a great job with it, and they've all those videos going around about how they use the same sound sort of design when they were doing the clickers, and it's just so. I'd be really interested to see, if you haven't played the game and have no knowledge of it, what you make of it, because obviously in the circles that I run in, and I assume both of you run in, everyone knows The Last of Us.
We have the test subject, and that's our co-host. Mark does a Star Wars podcast with the same co-host that I do a geek podcast with. He's not a video game guy. He's not. He does the Lego games, and that's it. And so he is all in on the show. He loves it. He loved the Walking Dead. I think that's part of why it was, and he likes those type of things. And he says it's so good, it almost makes him want to play the game.
Almost. So close.
At a minimum, though, I told him I would not judge him if he just watched the cutscenes.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. Watch a good Let's Play.
Yeah, exactly. Or I think there's probably like a super story mode or something, like where essentially you take no damage and you just get to enjoy it, and with a little bit of gameplay. So, but that's the test subject, and he loved it. Yeah. So, and I'm hearing from other people, like I watched this or listened to this radio show that's local here, and it's all about pop culture and things. And these people are in it, but they're really loving it. So that's like the barometer of like, yep, it's hitting. Awesome. Yeah, I love it. But lastly, getting to the whole point, I think a lot of this theme of the show has been with the games has been sometimes not every game has to be a AAA game. And that is true with the game I'm absolutely loving, and that's Evil West. This is the most 360 bullet storm. I'll bring up an old classic from the PS2 era, Dark Watch, which was a vampire first-person shooter in the Old West. So if you're curious about that game, go look it up. I think it was on the regional Xbox as well. But this game is it knows what it is, and it's like the Wild Wild West movie / TV show, but they're supernatural. You've got like this super secret organization as part of the United States government that's in charge of like mysticism and fighting evil creatures, of course. And it's fantastic, but it's a melee. It's primarily a melee type game with some weaponry. And it's got a skill tree. The cinematics are pretty well done, and it's a really pretty game. And it's just a lot of fun. It's adult. There's gross stuff that happens, but I like the fact that you end up in like almost like these little arenas. And the type of enemies you face, you have to really change up your skill set and how you manage them. And it's a lot of fun. I'm just enjoying it. I had the same thing with this game Fist, which is the worst name of a game, but I love that game. It was a phenomenal Metroidvania I never heard of before. It got into my top 5 last year. And this feels the same way. It's just a game I love, and it's just making me come back to it. And I put other games away. I put Gotham Knight away so I can play more of this. And I'm a big comic book fan. So I don't want to say too much more, but I'm just really loving it. And it's just really fun. The mechanics and the story, it all works really well, but it definitely feels like a sci-fi movie type of show. So it does it got the assignment, and it nailed it at the cost of what it is. And I don't know what these folks have done before, but I would love to see them do more things. It feels like the team that would be doing like the spin-off Gears games.
Okay. People can fly?
Exactly, like Bulletstorm. They did that game too, I think, right?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like this is like their like Spawn, like they had a baby, and this is who they made. Exactly. So kudos, because I'm really enjoying this game. So I highly love Evil West. And this game is apparently it's getting like kind of more of like a cult status. Like people are really liking it. And the game hasn't really gone down in price, which is a good thing, because we want them to make money and make a sequel potentially. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing. So I know Lucy, I know you got a heart out eventually. So but we want to hit on a couple of things. So hopefully you got a little more time.
Yeah, I do.
All right. So Mark has put in a good news segment. And you know what? We like good news in this world of craziness and horribleness. So I will just say Thunderful Games, Image and Form, they had their little mini direct, but it was recorded and it was wonderful. And they made an announcement today, Mark. And what was that announcement?
So the announcement was the next game in the SteamWorld series, which is SteamWorld Build, which is like a town builder. Looks like some, again, digging mechanics like SteamWorld Dig. I love the SteamWorld series, especially the 2 Dig games, but Heist and Quest are great as well. But that's good news in and of itself, and it's great. So go watch the trailer and the video and all that kind of stuff.
And there's a demo on PC.
And there is a demo on Steam and Epic, I believe, both stores. So if you want to try that out, there's a free demo to try out right now. That was great. That was really, really good. But I also tweeted at both Brian, who's the CEO of Thunderful, and SteamWorld Games, and I just said, this looks awesome. Hey, Brian, what do we do to what can we do to get an NPC named in memory of Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo guru, who was like the biggest SteamWorld fan ever. Like back in the day when we both first started podcasting and doing videos and all that kind of stuff, like Bobby introduced me to these guys. And like we both got in contact with Zoink. I think my podcast, like the Warp Whistle, was the first podcast ever to interview Klaus from Zoink Games. And like it's funny how those 2 companies kind of merged, and like Klaus has gone off doing his own new thing now, which is exciting. But anyway, so as anyone that regularly listens to the show knows, Bobby passed away a couple of years ago, and was just the biggest fan. Like drove out of his way like a couple of hours to go meet Brian one day. I actually ended up calling Brian when Bobby passed away and had a chat and kind of told him I broke the news to him, which was a rough conversation to have with a few people that I called. But so it was. I just, when I watched that trailer, it was like one of those big like hits of like, man, Bobby would love this. He liked Animal Crossing so much, town building, the SteamWorld stuff, the lore of SteamWorld. And I got a response back like very, very quickly from a CEO that just announced a new game, which I was just flabbergasted by. But Brian got back to me right away and said, "You're right. Such a SteamWorld fan and authority on the lore. Thanks for reminding me. I'll look into that ASAP." So while not a guarantee, my fingers are going to be permanently crossed for a little Bobby Guru cameo in this game of some sort, of any kind of little call out kind of thing. So yeah, if you want to get like more eyes on it, go like retweet or comment or just thank Brian for getting back to me. That was kind of my good news, good feel for the day. Just like, reminding people of stuff Bobby loved and kind of thinking about him for a bit. So there we go.
Yeah, we've seen other video game makers do that for their fan base, and it makes you feel like you're part of a community. It makes you feel like the people that are no longer with us, and it's a way to memorialize them. So that's awesome. So yeah, Bobby.
Morbidly, I think the last game Bobby was in is the same one that my brother and I are in, which is Flipping Death.
Oh,
I can't remember if Bobby chose Portrait or Tombstone. My brother and I thought it was too freaky to choose Tombstone, so we're in that game as 2 portraits, and my brother's reaching his hand from his portrait to mine and choking me, which was really fun. And I think Bobby's a portrait as well. I can't remember.
I hope so. That'd be really grim.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of morbid to think, but anyway, hope this one will be a better legacy. I think, hopefully, if it all pans out.
Yeah, definitely, folks. We'll obviously. I think Mark, I already seconded it, and we got some other people growing, so that's really great. So we'll share that out more and get attention to that. Definitely, yeah. Bobby deserves that. So thank you for the good news, Mark. We need it. And then we're going to hopefully add on more good news for our bonus round, which is with the success of The Last of Us, hopefully the success of the Mario Brothers movie that's coming out, which I found out is a potentially the sequel to the Donkey Kong TV series, Mark, which I just put out, which is on Freevee on Amazon right now. So, Lucy, if you've never watched the Donkey Kong early CGI animated Donkey Kong show,
Never seen it.
It's free on Freevee. I'll get you the link. It's weird. It's clunky, like 2001 era animation, like CGI. Yeah.
It was in the same like time frame as like Reboot and
Beast
like,
Wars,
and all that kind of stuff, and it was like that same kind of animation pedigree. Could have been the same studio, actually.
It probably is. Like I think it's Nelvana or something like that. Yeah,
but like fantastically era.
And it starts with the first part is Cranky Kong like jamming and singing a song on like an organ. It's weird. It's just definitely weird. I didn't know they were from.
I mean, Bobby's mother just messaged me.
Oh,
that's cool timing. Okay.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
Continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hi, Bobby's mom. So we're talking about obviously those are things that are coming. I'm looking out and seeing what's actually still in development, but I don't know what of those things that'll come and will actually happen. But Lucy, just wanted to get your opinion on I go really far back with really crappy adaptations. And I think the curse now is legitimately probably over because we've had a good amount of success in different forms. Now live action, because we've got a couple of animated things, and then we had the hybrid with Detective Pikachu. But with that saying, like, if everything's up in the air, we can trust that people will care for the things that we love. What would be an adaptation that potentially, even the sky's the limit. This is like the Byron Return, real world. Your hopes and dreams. What are like adaptations you would love to see happen? In regards to video games, movies or TV or animation.
The one I haven't actually seen the Dragon Age animation yet. I know that came out just before Christmas, but the one I'm most interested in, first of all, is the BioShock thing that Netflix is doing, just because I think I don't know. I really don't know what to make of that one. I'm just more intrigued by it than anything. But I'm really interested to see what Amazon does, because it looks like they are investing really heavily into their video game their adaptations in general. Wheel of Time, Rings of Power had a lot of money thrown behind them. And I think, we've seen some behind the scenes stuff from Fallout. But it's the Mass Effect one that is reportedly in the works. It's the most interesting to me. That franchise is very close to my heart. But I think if they treated it like an Expanse rather than, I don't know, if they gave it the Expanse, or some elements of like that Battlestar Galactica feel, I think it could be something really special. I don't think it should be Shepard's story at all. I think you're asking for a lot of issues if you did that. But I think it could be really cool. Oh,
boy, you said Amazon. Yeah, you said Amazon has it?
I think that's what the story was last year.
Okay.
I think they'd optioned it, whatever that means. Let me double check.
Because they have not been shy to spend money. I mean, the Rings of Power, I think the most expensive TV series ever. You don't want to cheap out on something like that because it's hard to do. But Amazon also treated The Expanse with care after getting it from Sci-Fi, which, to your point, gives me hope that Amazon would be a good place for it to go.
I think especially it looks like they were looking at it, trying to buy it. I don't know what's happened with the deal or anything, but yeah, they were being thrown around. So that would be amazing. I would love that.
Got it. Because I don't think EA has any history of actually doing content, except for maybe that Need for Speed movie with Aaron Paul.
I was gonna say Need for Speed. There has been a Dragon Age. I mean, there was the
anime, right?
Series, but they also had like a Machinima fan series for a while around the release of Dragon Age 2. Dead Space has had a few movies, not live action, but they've had animated movies and comics and books and stuff. Mirror's Edge, I feel like, had a comic.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I assume, there's some media adaptations, yeah.
But nothing compared to, what we're used to in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah. I am all in on Mass Effect. Mass Effect is one of my favorite universes in all media, and it's limitless. And I always said it's the best parts of Star Trek, Star Wars, and then later on kind of those beats and kind of the decisions you make and how they resonate. that could be really cool if they could, duplicate that.
It would be amazing.
Mark, what's your choice for something you would love to see, regardless of it might actually even happen if the rules didn't apply?
I've got two answers. One of them I think is happening. Like I feel like I've heard stuff about this, but we haven't heard anything official. And that's Fortnite, because the lore is ridiculous. It's one of the most recognized franchises in the world. There's a ton of, you could go back to like season 1 or even earlier than that in the storyline kind of thing. Let alone like what they've done in the comics and taking in Marvel and DC characters. But like, there's just so much about like the island, the Seven, the groups that are battling, all that kind of stuff. Like I think the lore in Fortnite's really, really cool that you could go with recognizable characters from the game and just make $1 billion pretty easily.
Do they make it like free? I mean, when you tell me that, I'm thinking Free Guy in my mind, like that Ryan Reynolds movie where he's an NPC.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that could be an approach to it. I'd honestly, I'd like to just see it from like maybe center around Jonesy or something, like one of the kind of default skin character kind of looking things. And because it really in the game storyline, the cutscenes that we've seen, like Agent Jonesy is one that especially recently has been the focal point for people going through. Like he's your vision, like he's who you met, like people from the Seven, like The Rock and this and that and whatever. Like he's kind of the one that like starts to break things out or gets you from point A to point B and that kind of stuff. Like he's your go-to. So like, I think centering around Agent Jonesy or something like that, of someone who's been raised and trained in this thing and is kind of like, I need to break out of the loop and kind of explore what the loop is and why Fortnite's island is the way it is and who's controlling it and the different factions. I think it'd be an interesting series. I think they could make a movie, but I'd like to see it kind of expand it more, because even if you look up like Fortnite, the story so far on YouTube, you're getting like hours worth of just some dude sitting there in front of some Fortnite clips explaining what the hell is happening. So I think it'd make an interesting series, to be honest.
So they're not going to do a like Ready Player One version where it's like all the properties that have been Fortnite will just show up like Space Jam.
I'd love to see that, honestly. Like that'd be really cool. And they've done like some stuff like that in the comics, but I would really very much like to see everyone and anyone showing up. It'd be amazing. Actually, speaking of Dead Space, we mentioned it a few times this show, and there's a Dead Space skin in Fortnite that dropped literally before we just started and looks really, 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 really good. But that's the easy answer. I wanted to come up with something different, so I want to see Rocket League. I want to see Fast and the Furious mixed with Mad Max mixed with Rudy. I mean, that like this, like, like the Mighty Ducks,
the
like
underdog.
one of those underdog sports stories. That's just like, we can do it. I want that, like Real Steel, where it's just like some grit and they're like throwing stuff together with like old junker parts and they're facing off like the elite team and they can do it. And it's like, like Fast and the Furious sports story mixed with like whatever the hell like dystopian future Rocket League takes place in. I think you could have some fun with that. You get like the right director and like a good writer that can really kind of distill that down. And I mean, you can write any story you want to with Rocket League because it's Rocket League, right? Like, but like putting a story behind that, I think it'd be really cool.
I've got your director, Mark. It's Wachowski's redoing Speed Racer.
Done.
All right.
I don't know how people feel out there, but the movie was just crazy looking. It's like, it's the movie you show on your new 4K TV. Yeah. It's just crazy. Yeah. Christina Ricci and a monkey in a car. Why not? Chim Chim.
Mercy. Yeah. Yeah. That was a weird one that I thought of. So
I like it.
You're lucky I didn't say Wave Race.
A guy in his wave race with his pet dolphin.
His pet dolphin just taking on the world. Which I also want. So Nintendo, let's make
it happen.
Wave Race.
Do it.
The movie.
It always comes back to Wave Race, Lucy.
You know what? Wave Race, the movie, will come out before the next game.
True. Yeah.
Because Nintendo loves to break my heart and not give me what I want.
Yeah, it was funny because I think Khalif Adams was on a podcast and we were saying something was going to happen. He's like, what will happen first, reparations or this? And they said reparations. I'm like, oh, wow. Went there, but he made a point. He had a good point. Yeah. I think it was Beyond Good and Evil too. Was the other one. Yeah.
Again,
that hurts my heart every day.
Allegedly exists.
Sure it does. I believe that.
I think I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys? We're all supposed to be working on this game, right?
Everyone's working on it. Everyone's submitting things for it, or at least
I've been working in Microsoft Paint. My assets are coming through. They're coming your way.
The Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh yeah,
he's still doing that. That was him, right?
Well, I think Yves Guillemot took it over. I think it's all artwork is going directly to Yves. That's why he has to approve every one of them. Yeah. I'm sure I pronounced that right. Yeah. Well, I will finish it up, and mine is pretty simple, and I think it could work. And that is Onimusha. I have brought up Onimusha before. It's a series I love. Resident Evil is having such a resurgence, and Onimusha was kind of like a companion series, similar to like Dino Crisis, but on the PlayStation 2 was Onimusha. And I love that series. It was so good. I mean, we talk about the supernatural with samurai, and then it weirdly went to the future or the modern times, which was very weird. And it had the one guy, not Luc Besson, the French guy that was in The Professional.
I can see his face. Gerard Depardieu?
No, but close. He was also in, I think, the first Mission Impossible movie. Beard. Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Frenchman with a beard.
Frenchman with beard. Yeah, look him up, folks. He's there. But the fact is, they used his likeness, which is so weird. It's like, oh, we're going to use you and your model. So yeah. But yeah, that I think that could really, really well in like something in feudal Japan. Yep. Dealing with the supernatural works really well, but have a reverence to it, not goofy or cheeky or something like that. But I think that could be a lot of fun because we don't have a lot of great, except for maybe like Squid Games and maybe Last Train to Busan. We don't get a lot of like Asian prestige things. That's, you know, in broad TV, that's a genre show. So I think it's time, and this could go really well. And Capcom's really doing super well. So I would love to see it. And I'd even take an animated series, to be honest, but I think that could be really cool.
Yeah. Is that Jean Reno?
There you go.
There we go.
Jean Reno. It's part of your French Canadian there, Mark, right?
I think he's Moroccan.
He's full French. Oh, he's Moroccan? I did not know this. Guess we're going to learn. Look it up, folks. We're not going to tell you if it's true or not. But that is it for the episode. We went a little longer. So, Lucy, we appreciate you coming along for the ride. Our goofiness, our stupidness. We appreciate it. Whether some things are real in real life or not, your power-ups, all those things, you decide.
Yeah. The power is within you.
Exactly. It was within you all along. And with that, tell people, like, is there any big projects that you're working on and where people can find you?
Sure. I mean, so you can find me. I'm at Gamespot. I'm at Giant Bomb. Friends Per Second podcast over on the Skill Up channel is coming back this week. We took like a month off, and people are not mad, but they're very politely kind of going, "Are you coming back yet? Are you coming back yet?
Please come back.
Please come back." So we have a bumper episode that we're recording on Wednesday. And yeah, we got the GameSpot After Dark podcast and the Bombcast. It must be annoying because I'm on like a lot of different things.
That's great.
And people are just like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow." But that's a broad overlook of what I'm working on. I'm on Twitter making terrible jokes at Lucy James Games. And in terms of big projects, a lot of planning for 2023 at the moment, but it's all fun stuff. So should be exciting.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much again for being on. This is great. Follow Lucy, see all her cool stuff. Go check out the video content on both GameSpot and Giant Bomb. There's some really fun, goofy stuff going over there. And Jan, who's doing a lot of the Giant Bomb stuff, you know, he's got his hands full, but your whole team seems to compliment you quite a bit.
Jan's the man. No, everyone's great. And so, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. This is really fun.
Oh, thank you very much. We feel like you've increased the level of accents on the show, which is great.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one. Merc has some, and you've got you said you've constrained your accent, but we appreciate it.
Just for legibility, I guess. But
perfect. Didn't even hear any U's come out.
Oh, I kept those quiet.
Okay, very good. Well, excellent. Well, Mark, with that, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everywhere as _Canardian, unless you're on Hive, which is just Canardian. And of course, you can find me hanging out in our Discord channel. Don't forget those giveaways. Follow us on Discord and say hi, and I'll give you a game. I also have a bunch of like SteamWorld series codes, so I'm gonna give some of those away to random people in our Discord this week. So if you want like all 4 current SteamWorld games on Switch, jump in our Discord. I'll give you something.
Very, very cool. Excellent. Well, very good. You can find me on Twitter at Toxtra, on Hive, which I think still exists. I'm at Todd of War. I need to figure that whole thing out of dual timelines. I don't get it, but I'm going to try to be good at doing that and just trying to make the world a better place by being dumb and stupid and having fun. Other than that, check out our Patreon. It's new. Just see what it is. We're going to give away some of the I guess we'd call it the exclusive content. We're going to give that away free as well down the road, just to let people see what we're doing. If you like it, great. If not, oh well. Appreciate us and share so other people can find us. We'd love it. We appreciate everyone's support. And that's about it for our show. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lucy. It's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.